so much for joining me today. We're going to be playing with art and we're going to be having lots of fun playing with my Copic markers. You may have watched the video. If not, I'll link it above, where I started talking about my art supplies and I showed my huge stash of Copic markers or Copic markers. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce them. I'm going to be doing probably two or three videos about these Copic markers. Today I'm going to be discussing blending with them and also explaining a little bit about the different types of Copic markers that you get and the different papers that you should use with them. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's go into downward view and enjoy playing with our markers. So here we are in the downward view, and the first thing I want to mention is that there are 4 different types of markers. One I don't own, it's a very big marker. I own 3 of the different types: the classic marker, the Copic Chow, which is like this, and the Copic Sketch. The Sketch are available in 358 different colors, which is actually quite incredible. The originals have got fewer colors, but the ink is interchangeable and they're all refillable. So the first one, the original Copic marker, has 2 different nibs. It has the chisel nib and the bullet nib. The nibs are replaceable as well, and as I said, the ink is refillable. The sketch marker is the one that has all the different colors, and this comes with, it's a sort of an oval shaped barrel. It's quite nice to hold in your hand. It comes also with the chisel nib and then with a lovely brush marker. Now I'd just like to mention that you can buy replacement brush markers. This is what the replacement nibs, they come in a set of 3. Nothing with Copic is cheap. These, and I bought them probably 2 years ago in South Africa, cost me 87.99 rand. We would have to do a Google search to see what that is in dollars, but it's 3 brush nibs. And what I have done is replaced either the bullet or the chisel in a normal, in an original Copic with that. And then you get, in all of the colors, you get a refill. This is what the refill looks like. This is an E11 refill, which I haven't used yet. This is the colorless blender refill. It's an R32. This is an E30, which is my base flesh color, which I've used quite a lot of. I don't know if you can see. I wanted to talk about the paper. Some of the different things that happen on different papers. On uncoated paper, the Copic markers feather quite easily. I have a piece of uncoated paper here, and I'll show you. I just want to preserve that with a dark color. I'm sorry, the paper, I've been using this underneath some coloring, so it's a rough paper. So if you press down, it kind of absorbs and feathers out slightly. So if you have a coloring book that you're coloring with this type of paper, you've got to be careful that if the edge of your, say this is the petal of a flower, then you would color towards the edge, but not exactly. If you went on the edge, you get messes. So like if you press down hard here, it spreads. So you would color just inside the edge of the paper and wait to see where the marker's going. On tracing paper, the ink doesn't absorb either, so you can then color on both sides and create something interesting. But for normal colouring, the best is uncoated paper, but the type that is smooth. So some good examples are using the actual Copic cardstock that you can buy. It's very expensive. Another thing that a lot of good colorists suggest is the Neenah Solar White. I bought this in South Africa from Doodle's Cafe. In America, in Australia, I'm not sure about the UK, it seems to be easy to get hold of. This was quite expensive here. There is also in the United States a very nice paper called Hammermill Color Copy Digital Cover, and it's £80, and a similar one in South Africa that you can get from Peter's Papers is called Navigator, and I will put links to those on the more information. Other generally available paper is Strathmore Bristol, because Bristol has the smooth surface. So I'm going to show you on some smooth paper a little bit about blending now. So I'll put links to the various kinds of paper, and honestly I do find it makes a big difference. There's a kind of a numbering system with Copics, and if you go onto the actual Copic web page they explain it very nicely, but they're all numbered. And the thing that blend quite nicely is if you've got, like, for instance, a 0, and then you keep your numbers fairly close. So you go, I would choose then, if I was using V for violet, I would use V0, 2, 0, 4, and 0, 6 would blend nicely if you're doing normal blending. And I've got, with that in mind, RV 000, which is a very pale color, RV02, RV04 I should have, and RV06, and I'm going to do a petal like that. Now, what I would normally do is start with, let me zoom in on this a little bit. So I hope that you can see it well. So I would normally do a base coat with the palest color, and I do love using my Copics, I must say. They fulfill that kind of painterly need I have. I would go from there to my darkest color, which is the RV06, and I would go, for instance, if I wanted to pretend that this petal was behind that petal, like on some drawings you can see that quite nicely, I would do a bit there, and then the darkest color and sort of feather up. Then I would take the next lightest, which is the RV04, and go over the edge of that and bring it in and up a little bit more, and up, feathering, 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 feathering. Always do that slightly flicky color, and then take the RV02 and go from the top down and flick into it. And you get quite a nice blend, but as you can see, there's a jump between the two. So now I would go over all the colors with this one. And as you can see, what is happening here is it's bleeding out. So it's good to check your papers first. This is the 04, the middle color, which I'm flicking up on again, and then the very dark color. And then using the paler color to come down again. And it has a sort of a bleaching effect. using the paler color over the darker colors, and you end with a fairly seamless blend, but with a minor disaster with this bleeding. So now I'm going to turn this around because I prefer working in that direction. And this time we're going to try very hard to stay in the line, so we're not going to go on right to the edge. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to stay just inside the edge all the way and see what happens. So that's our 000. Now our dark one, 06, flicking up there, and a little on the sides. It's quite a bubblegum color, isn't it? Oh, I do love playing with this. It's called cerise. And the next one, 04. It's very difficult to stay inside from the edge. It's like when you sing in a chorus and you've got to sing ahead of a beat because the orchestra is far back or something. That's something I always struggled with. Very much in the lines or on the beat. So there we go. Better in. And now I'm going to go again, and this time just going to flick a little bit closer to the edge. It's still gone out a little bit there. Middle and at the top. Now, that one I can actually just... So, that is using the Venus paper. Now, I want to show doing the same sort of thing using the Neenah cardstock. Now, actually, I'm just going to draw a petal. Let me draw a nice big petal. Of a heart-shaped petal. There we go. And we'll see the same story, but let's use some different colors. So I've got a slightly different mix here. I've got some blues. I've got B00, B23, B24, B29, BG is blue-green, 49. So that's too many colors, so I'm going to leave the blue-green out here. I'm going to try these colors which are not as close. The 23 and the 24 are close. 29 is a bit further out, but I'm just going to try it because I don't have the in-between colors. So it's called Making Do. So now this is on the Neenah Classic White. And I'm going over everything with the B00, which is a lovely pale color. If you start with Copics, I would suggest you get, say you love coloring flowers and you love pinks, I would suggest getting like a rose, so R00 or 000, because it's super to do a base layer and then go over them with pencils, because what the Copic does is it sort of covers up all that white, and then you end up getting a really nice looking piece. That is if you print your coloring pages. I do find that I don't use my Copics very often in coloring books. I'll use them in some that are printed on one side, but I'm kind of like the very beautiful coloring books with the hard covers, or even the ones like Nocturnes and that. I feel too heart sore to have the bleeding through, so I don't. Oh, am I using the wrong one? No, that's 23. So this would have been nicer in a paler color. It's not really enough difference. So you can see it doesn't bleed through as much in this Neenah Solar White. So if you're keen on these things, it's worth, I do print a lot of the things that I want to do on special Copic paper. I had some of that Hammermill from Amazon, which I loved, which was recommended to me by the coloring people at Coloring Bliss. They tend to use that a lot. So I'm going to go down on this one, and then I want the top to be slightly more pale. So can you see how using the paler color over the dark color sort of bleaches it and makes it bleed nicely? Now just flicking up so that it's easier to mix there. And I'm going to use the B00 to try and make the top here slightly more pale. There, that's nice. Go over all of them to bring it all together. It's quite a nice color, and then that will dry. You can see it does bleed through a lot. So there's that, and then I wanted to talk about some colors that I recommend for skin tones. So let's draw a pretend face. So here's the center of our face. Let me get this centered here. Draw a line and do an oval. And a chin. And I'm just going to go over that with some ink quickly. So we have a little ghost here. Let's give him a funny face with some weird eyes. Ooh, he's an alien. The scary mouth. There we have a ghost. I'm not going to bother about where there would be some hair or anything. I don't want to smudge this, it's still a bit wet. And then what I would do with flesh colors, I always start with the E000 and I do a base coat. When they start squeaking like this, it means that they're running dry. But I don't feel like filling this right now, so I'm going to see if I can get this done. So a rough base coat over everything with the E000. And then I take E00 and I outline where I want shadows to be. So normally I would want a shadow to come down from the one side of the nose. I would want some shadows around the eye. I would want some shadows at the side or the hairline to give some shape to the face. So I use that slightly darker color. Go up to the line. And then I would take the E000 yet again and go over the inside of that and bring it in, but leaving the highlight area in the middle of the face. So you blend the two together like that. and go over that shadow there. That would come together. That would come together over that shadow. So that would come together. Then you've got some highlight places left. Then if you want some more definition, I've got E11, which is a darker one. And again, where you want darker definition, so under the eye, I want that to stand out. I want a bit more at the side of the face here. So like the edges of the arms. And under that eye. And a little bit at that nose. So, where I've done that, I go over again with the E00 on the inside of that, bring that in, I take it a little further up, a little further down, and in. Little further up, little further down, and into the middle. Little further up and in a little bit there. So they always dry just a little bit lighter than they look when they're wet. And then do a final coat over everything with the E000 again and smooth everything out. So I'm going over there. And if you've got a beautiful piece of artwork, it usually, I find my skin tones, when I use Copics, I do the best skin tones that I do. I find color pencils takes so much time, and I'm not all that successful. So I enjoy this so much, and I suppose I also like the feeling of painting, but you do need the right paper. So if we let that dry, then you'll be able to see. Let's let it dry for a minute and then I'll show it to you. So my little face has dried and developed a little character. I started playing with her and made her into a little personality, and she's my Copic lady, and you can see that they've dried quite smoothly. There's the face you saw me doing, and I added turned the petal into a balloon, and that's brought us to the end of today's colouring and chat, and I hope you've enjoyed the content that I've made for you. And I would like to encourage you to please subscribe or share the video if you've enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye now.